Welcome back to
Hello darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
Watching Drivetrain and DIY guys, and behind me I have a 2001 Kona Caldera. But first I did want to make a channel announcement brought to you by the homies down at Super Clean, always helping me out, helped me get this, believe it or not, abandoned bike shining, looking good again. But we are going to put together, we had such great success on my last giveaway. Shout out to our user APJ. He sent me this cool picture of all his goodies and everything all shined up with his winnings, and you know, you could be the next one to win a nice box of all those goodies as well. So 1,000 subscriber giveaway on the next video. I'll just do something, just pick a random comment on there. Maybe it'll be a joke or something, I don't know. I'll make up something for the video. And when we get to 1,000, it'll end there. And that will be that. So wanted to put that in there. So don't forget to subscribe. And you'll have that video chance to, you know, win some cool stuff. And have some nice clean projects like I do. And one of the cool things about this, believe it or not, it's been sitting for 10 years. I got this from a local guy who's also a subscriber. Shout out to Andrew as well. This is his bike from when he was a kid. That's why it sat for so long. And believe it or not, this is really, I mean, you got a little bit of a couple little paint scratches, but for a bike that's been through somebody's whole life since they were 15 years old, young kids are pretty brutal on stuff. And this really goes to show that this is a high quality bike. And this is really what you want to look for when it comes to a budget build. First thing you want to start with is a good quality frame. Obviously Kona is a good brand, but not everything that's a good brand sells good quality frames, especially on a budget. This is 7005 double butted aluminum. This is a very, 7005 is usually, just people think like the higher number means it's better. In this case it does, because it's made by a good company. 7005 aluminum is a little harder to work with, literally and figuratively. Being a harder aluminum, it is better for you, but as a manufacturer it's harder to roll this up into tubes and such, and you'll find these often in kind of strange diameters. Actually, for example, the seat post is a 27.0 millimeter compared to your normal 27.2 millimeter. Just odd things like that. It's not even a big deal at all, but it is something that you want to look out for, just to think. You don't want to assume numbers are better. But this one being double butted, you're going to have the ends are tapered for strength as well as weight savings. And then you have tons of great welding all over the frame. They gusseted and reinforced this down tube here. Also, the dropouts on the front and rear and the head tube and the bottom bracket are all cold forged, which this is something, like I said, you could take a beating on this thing. I think it's going to be pretty hard to actually, you'd have to really put that against a tree or something to dent it, I would imagine. So we're actually pretty good on weight. Stock there, this is a 19-inch, is like a size large, kind of a bigger frame. They weigh more, of course, but this one's around mid 20 pounds. We'll get to everything in the bike build breakdown, but I did end up, all of these upgrades that I did lose almost a full pound. It was 3/4 of a pound, just over that I ended up losing in total. So just with some minimal budget stuff, it's kind of crazy how far you can get. One of my favorite things, though, next to this great frame, and this is, you know, you don't find this a lot in the budget bikes, is the fork. We have a Marzucci Bomber. This is a Z5 coil series. They make a Z3 as well. Both Z3 and Z5 are long travel. You could always, they can be long travel. This is a short, so it's an 80 millimeter versus 100. Not a big difference, but back then it was. You'll see right here the sticker. It'll tell you all the info there. This one being a coil spring, that means that there's an oil bath here in the stanchion tube. On the bottom, you're going to feel a screw right there. Doesn't take very much to get to it. Little Allen head screw, one on each side. Fork pulls apart. Dump out your old stuff. Put in your new oil. You just refresh the fork, basically. As long as nothing's leaking out of these little seals. I mean, this is pretty much a fork that you can keep for a very, very, very long time, unless you want to go like crazy big on jumps or something. So right there, right off the bat, you have an excellent foundation. Really nothing that you need to change in my opinion. And that's, my favorite things about a budget bike. When you don't have to spend a ton more money on stuff that costs a lot of money. Forks right now, they're expensive. One more thing I want to bring up about both of these. Disc brake mounts, just normal standard IS disc brake mounts on the front and the rear. It doesn't need it again. The brakes on this, the levers are excellent, paired together, both by Avid. If you ask me, no need to, but future-proof. You can if you want to in the future. Now, when we get down to the drivetrain here, all quality stuff. Obviously, see some new things. As always, gold chain Mafia. You gotta always have the gold chain. We did upgrade the front derailleur. This is a newer style Shimano SLX. Mega 9, just typical 9-speed stuff, but what we had on here was an older, like late 90s style Shimano Dior, and this is, there's just a big difference in design. You could tell right off the shape of the cage and everything, and that really prevents a lot of the rubbing with the new upgraded stuff here. It's a million times easier to adjust. It's lighter, it looks better. It costs, I think, $10 on eBay. I bought it a few years ago because they were so cheap just to have, thinking like I could even use it in a cyclocross build or something if I wanted, and they're still that cheap. So throw this out, put that on. An upgrade you must do for sure. Next thing, crank. That's always an important thing, especially on budget bikes. You always want to have something where you can replace these chain rings themselves. This is a triple. Again, long live the triples. I hate that people take them apart because built right, they'll work great, just like this one does. Shifts amazing. But yeah, you can see we got the bolts here. It's a 3-piece crank set. This is a FC M440, which is like right there at Dior level. This is the mid-level, like non-series Shimano. But if you actually looked up the Dior 9-speed, almost identical, very, very similar. I think probably you'll find stupid stuff like this is a steel chainring and the Dior has aluminum. Whatever. No big deal. Great to me. No problems with that at all. Got a Dior level, I can't remember, I think this is like HG 70 or 50 even. Again, in Shimano non-series, but still good stuff. This should be a Dior level cassette, 1132 tooth. You got a nice big range on there, as well as you do on the crank set here itself, 42, 32, 22. You really could put a slightly bigger cassette on here if you wanted to, but that's pretty good as it is. I mean, to tell you the truth, you got a 22 and then a 32. That's a good climbing gear. Of course, one of my favorites, man. And that you even see the little tiny dust covers on these that are all still here intact. Very cool. I love seeing stuff like that on vintage stuff. You don't have this high quality stuff anymore, and usually mechanics have lost it by now. But yeah, very good piece. Awesome. I love to use it. This actually works on road shifters. Great for cyclocross parts too. But yeah, great Shimano XT, second best that they made at the time. Obviously, XTR being the best. But yeah, very nice piece on there. Whole drivetrain already. You're off to a fabulous start. Really, like I said, you're talking the chain, and I'll have links to all this in the description as well. Everything amongst this whole video, as I do in all my videos. But chain was like 15 bucks, and I said derailleur is 10 to 12 bucks, whatever it is after tax. And then we'll move on to our stopping. I brought that up before. It may not be disc brakes, but you know what? You don't really need them. These are Avid single-digit 3s. These are set. The only thing that I would definitely recommend is getting yourself a good set of pads. And what we have here is a good set of Cool Stop mountain bike. These are just kind of all arounds. You can get like more wet type if you're always in the mud or in the snow and I'll have you like that. You might be out here commuting on your bike, but it's a go-to, super cheap. I think this is less than 20 bucks for front and rear. I want to say $15 to $20. And they're a little bit longer. You're getting more pad too. The ones that were on here were real thin. There were some just Chinese replacements to the originals on here. The originals aren't that great either though. So like I said, spend a little bit of money and get yourself some good brake pads. The thing you could see here, I mean, it just, one finger is no problem. You could lock it up with 2 fingers super easy. And that's what I really like about these. They got a ton of spring when they're set up right. And with a good lever, you have tons of travel and great stopping power. Now, for the front end here, you can see one of the biggest upgrades was the handlebars. We went with the new modern standard 31.8 millimeter, which means you will also have to change the stem out as well because it needs to have a larger clamping diameter. So We got a nicer stem from one of my road bikes, actually, a pretty nice lightweight one. And it's comparable to what I usually get on there. And I'll have a link to those in the description. They're around 115 grams. They're called Uno 7. And yeah, they're great. Very close to carbon. They're like 25 bucks. So a good stem, good bars. These are actually incredibly wide. You can see right here. I think I got like probably 3 inches on each side wider compared to the stock bars. You can also cut these down when you have the grips off. When you buy these new, you can trim it up real easy, no big deal. But I left these stock with for whoever ends up getting these. They can trim it down to theirs. Of course, the best thing about this, if you ask me, they used to be great budget parts, but now with the bike shortage, you can't really find these too cheap. But they're excellent. They're super easy to maintain. Sometimes the little lever down here will ghost shift. Shimano has a problem with their grease hardening in their shifters. I have a video about this. There's a couple screws up here for the mountain bike style, and you pull that little top piece off here and just WD-40 it all up and it'll be good as new. Good as new. And shift's great. I like the little shift windows up here too. It tells you what gear you're in. These are, oh yeah, Dior LX 9x3 speed. So obviously it matches the rest of the drivetrain. And what else? Oh yeah, we have the Avid levers, as I mentioned. These are very nice. I like that they're 83. They actually match the brakes, and they have that nice long sweep that I said gives you lots of stopping power. The last thing that we did replace was the actual saddle here. This is not really one of my favorites. So the saddle that was on here, I don't have it with me, but it was very, very narrow. I'll have a picture of it here, and a little rough. It didn't seem like it would really match comfort. So I have a more modern WTB saddle on here. This is actually from a Klein bike I rebuilt. You should check out the video on that as well. And lastly, for sure, a must-do upgrade is replace this stupid like quick release clamp seat post thing. These are total garbage. You can see that because of the style of it, you have to have a thinner bolt in here as well, which means you have like no strength. And all of this is bulk. Not only does it make something easier to steal your saddle that they or their seat post that they probably never use unless they have this bike or a Kona, but it means that it could break and put you in a bad situation when you hit the saddle on the landing position if that were to happen. If you're out riding trails or something, put something on there that looks a lot nicer like I did. This came with a black seat post, but kind of matched a silver one that I ended up putting on here. This is actually another Uno one that I put on here. The other one I had was bent. I think my buddy Andrew had a little oopsie, and it was really high up, and I think it had a little fall over. But no big deal. Super easy to throw back together, and like I said, I think it looks even better. And that right there is pretty much it. That is my very cool Kona update to the channel. I got even more videos coming out. I know it's been a little while. I have updated my camera situation. I've been struggling for a year over that. Hopefully when I get to 1,000, I can get a little money to support the channel some more. So please do not forget to subscribe, guys. And we'll be back with more soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.